I want to know how hard it's going to be to make a YouTube video using Apple's new Creator Studio, this M1 iPad Pro, and this, an action cam. This week, Apple launched their Creator Studio, which gets you a whole load of creative apps for a pretty low monthly subscription fee. Hurt my elbow playing football the other night because I'm old. Now, I'm going to be going away in a couple of weeks and I'm not going to have much room for luggage. So, I want to know if it's going to be possible to make a video for YouTube to try and keep this channel alive using just this iPad that I have here and something like this Insta360 Ace Pro Action Cam, because I love using this camera. It's nice and small, it's pretty bomb proof, and you can take it anywhere. This week, Apple launched a new subscription for Apple Creator Studio, and that subscription gets you access to Final Cut Pro, Motion, and Compressor for video, Pixelmator Pro for images and design, Logic Pro and Mainstage for audio production, as well as versions of Keynote, Pages, Numbers, and Freeform with added Apple Intelligence, because we all know how great that is. I think the Apple Intelligence is the only difference between the free versions and the subscription versions, but don't quote me on that. So all of that is for $12.99 after a free trial, which if you look at the price of, say, just Final Cut Pro, which is £299 to buy outright, that seems like a pretty decent deal. And it's even cheaper if you are a student or an educator. You can get on the education pricing, which is $2.99 a month, and that is an absolutely fantastic deal. Some of these apps like Motion, Compressor, and Mainstage are Mac only at the moment, so they're not going to be much use in this making a video on the iPad challenge. So my thinking on why Apple is pricing this so aggressively at the moment, say like $2.99 for the education plan or $12.99 for the regular, is that Adobe are in a bit of a weird spot. They've got more competition than they've ever had before in the creative space. And when I was coming up as a designer, Adobe Suite was pretty much the only name in town aside from some open source pieces of software like GIMP, but nobody really used that. Nowadays it's a bit different though. So you've got like Procreate on the iPad, you have Affinity, that suite of apps. You've got the Affinity suite of apps that Canva just bought and rolled into one giant super app that was down for a very, very cheap price. Although how long it will stay that cheap, I do not know. You've also got Canva Online, which a lot of people use to do their design work. I know that anecdotally, all of the students that I teach at the university here, that's what they all use to do their design for their projects. And you have Figma, which is another great online first app that's very, very popular with designers. And into that crowded marketplace comes Apple and their Creator Studio offering. So I think the reason that Apple are being so aggressive with their pricing is that it makes this set of apps much more accessible for young people. Because the first apps that you start using as a creative tend to become the default ones that you use throughout your career, the ones you revert back to because you know them the best and you trust them to get the job done. And if you can become the default like Adobe did all those years ago when I was starting, then you can keep people in your ecosystem and buying your products longer. So the lifetime value of that customer goes up. And that's without even getting to the fact that Apple has always positioned itself as the computer or the brand for creatives. So using an action cam to shoot this video, I'm really not sure about. So you will have to let me know what you think of the video quality. In my experience, because of the smaller sensors on these things, they don't perform super well in low light. They can get grainy and the footage is just not fantastic. The one I'm using here, the Insta360 Ace Pro, I really love as a camera. I'm very attached to it. I love the flip up screen and that I can just easily connect a wireless mic to it. It's very useful, very handy. It's absolutely bulletproof. I throw it in my bag with no cover on it, no protection, and it's been fine for going on 2 years, I think. Unfortunately, at this time of year, there's not much light around where I live. It gets dark at like 3:30, 4 p.m. It's just after 4 now, and it's almost pitch black outside. And when it is light, we don't really get light as such because it's like permanently grey. I think we've had 3 days where the cloud has broken and we've seen the sunshine in 3 weeks, which is rough. All that's to say, I wonder how the Ace Pro is going to be able to handle that, whether it will look good enough to produce a video at the end of the day. Take it outside and shoot some outdoor video with it, because when I go away, that's where I will be. Because even in this well-lit studio, I've got a big lamp here, I've got another lamp here. I'm not convinced that this is well lit enough, but we shall see.
Editing Liam here. I think it looks alright. It doesn't look super sharp, but it's fine. Yeah, so let me know what you think.
Another thing that I'm a bit worried about with this project is the size of the iPad screen. Now, video editing apps have a lot going on screen at all times, so it'll be interesting to see how easy Final Cut Pro is to use on a touch-first tablet. Now, I will be using the Magic Keyboard as well, so that should make things slightly easier. We will see about that. Pixelmator Pro I'm not worried about. It seems the iPad seems to handle 2D image creation pretty well at this point. Not far off like a desktop level experience. I assume the M1 chip in this is going to be able to handle everything, but it's been amazing so far. I've had it for probably 4 years, maybe longer. It's amazing at everything else I throw at it, but it is a few years old at this point, as I've said, and I wonder if Apple has maybe started to move past the M1 when it's targeting its creative apps. So anyway, let's crack on. We'll go shoot some video, and we'll start the edit, and I'll talk you through how rough that is. Absolutely pissing it down over here. It's been horrible. The wind is really strong. So yeah, as you can see in low light, this thing is not fantastic, and I'm gonna have to put it away, and I need to put it away before I stand in a huge puddle. So this is what footage and audio sound like direct from the camera on a very wet day. So wet in fact people are leaving their boats out just in the street. Fun fact, in the UK where I live, in some parts of the UK it has now rained every single day in 2026, so it's over 40 days now. I'm getting sick of it if I'm totally honest. Just coming back from dropping my daughter at school. That gives me a chance to check the colour on this footage later when I get back, I guess. That's good. Yeah, miserable, rainy. I'm absolutely soaked. I'm going to be working from home today. I was going to go to the office, but that's like a 40-45 minute walk. Okay, catch you inside when I'm warm and dry. It is horrible out there at the moment. Look at the colour difference. And you have to wear a cap, otherwise you can't see where you're going. How's the image quality? It is pacing down still. It's been raining for 3 days now. Good stuff, eh? Alright, somewhere else, off we go inside. I have been really impressed with Final Cut for iPad.
considering it's a full, oh, not far off a full video editor in an iPad form factor, that in itself is incredible. If you can keep it plugged in, you can probably manage to get a video out of this. You'll have to let me know how this video looks though.
So one of the main issues I've got is um, Final Cut on the iPad absolutely chews through battery. Since I've turned this off, that's dropped from 9% to 14%. So you kind of really need to be plugged in. So you don't really need this magic keyboard with it, because that has an extra USB-C port moved to the side. I'm watching this drop like a stone. Okay. Cancel it off so I don't lose all that footage.
Another issue I've hit while editing is if you try and open the project from Final Cut Pro, it does this every time. Now I'm having to use a external SSD because these files are just big, and this is not a very big storage iPad. I think it's 128 gig. But I have found that if you get into the SSD and open the Final Cut for iPad project from in there, the project will open and you can carry on editing. But this scared me quite a lot of times, something to watch out for. I'm really impressed with the voiceover feature in Final Cut Pro. It is so useful, and it means that you can have like video on in the background and just sort of like chat over the top. I can see myself using this feature quite a bit, if I'm honest.
Okay, so final thoughts on this setup. Um, Honestly, it does work. It's not my favorite way of doing anything. I mean, because you've got to have a hard drive plugged into the iPad the whole time, it means that you can't then use like an external screen, which would be much more useful in this case because of how much real estate you get on an iPad. Look, it's only that big. You get that much real estate. I've been a bit more impressed with the camera than I thought I would be. Um, it does still have its drawbacks. It is still very much an action cam. Like trying to film anything close up, it will lose focus because its focal points like here and out. So if you're trying to like film text or like in one shot, I was trying to show you my battery going down and I just couldn't because the camera wasn't focusing on the iPad close enough to read it. So that's been painful. But I think in a pinch, it kind of does. And honestly, I'm starting to wonder if the audio straight out of the camera is better than with this little mic, because this DJI Mic Air seems to be doing some sort of audio clipping. Um, and you can hear like a stutter. Now, I don't know if it's the connection between this mic and the camera, because I don't have an issue when I use these mics with the receiver and my other camera, but that's something to figure out. All in all, this has been quite a painful way to make a video. I'm impressed with Final Cut Pro on the iPad. I think that the Apple Creator Studio seems like a great deal. And if you can't afford a Mac or can't afford a computer, but you've got an iPad, by all means, I'm sure there are better ways to do it than I've been doing it. And you'll work out a workflow that works for you because people just work with what they've got at the end of the day. Will I do this again? I might, I might try it when I go away. We will see. Do I want to? Not really. I quite like my other setup, which is Mac and DaVinci. I find that easier to use. There's just a lot of stuff that I think is missing from Final Cut Pro that I do use quite a lot. So yeah, quick and dirty. I don't see why not. May do this again in the future. It has been a challenge, but it was supposed to be a challenge. And hopefully, challenge completed. Let me know in the comments. If you've got this far, thank you very much. If you could like and subscribe, I would super appreciate that. Um, yeah, and try and go watch another video, help my channel grow. Thank you very much. More challenges soon.